Okay, hi guys. Today we're going to show you how to change the front brake pads on an ML320, 350, 430, 500, ML55. They're all the same. More than likely. I think ML55 comes with Brembo brakes if I'm not wrong, but idea is the same. So we're going to have to take off a couple of T40 bolts from here at the back, one down the bottom, one up top, and then this caliper can be lifted by prying onto the disc and just lifting it. We'll show you that in a minute, but right now I'll show you how my ML is not even sitting properly. These pads are supposed to be sitting, these pads are supposed to be sitting right on the guide here, but they're off by at least 5 mils. So that's not a good sign. That's why it's just destroying the pad on the inside, but the top one has a little recess area here that sits on the guide, locks itself, and the pin goes at the back. The other side is just the top. There's no recess on it, it just sits on top. But we're gonna start undoing this and then you can understand it a bit better. It's a fairly straightforward job and it shouldn't take too long. Okay, so without further ado, let's put the camera there. Light at the back. Now, T40.
More. You just feel it goes in and it's a tighter fit.
I'm gonna give it a bit of tap and see if we can actually release it. Okay, that did not work. The ratchet came off loose. Awkward to work on it, guys. The best way is to lean forward like that, like Rob is, and then just attack it from there. And then it comes off, and then you can just get your trusty little handy dandy power tool and just take it off that way. Okay. Oh, don't do it this way. There we go. And the first one's off, almost. There we go. First one's off. It's relatively cleanish. Now one up top. Okay. That one's off too. And now we're gonna try and pry it open here. This is off. And the wear sensor, there's the wear sensor wire, guys. It's actually worn out completely. So there's that. The guide came off too. The guide's supposed to go back on it.
You can take it off, clean it up.
Yep, sure. And on the inside you can see the havoc it caused. Yeah, I think maybe my caliper might be seized. It's not looking good. It's a possibility. But we can check it out in a minute. So the pads just come out like that. It's 3-prong pad. The one at the back that just sits in the caliper drum, and the front one is just 2 tabs. You can rest it here so you're not stretching too much your brake line like I was there. So hang on, let's lift up the camera so it's at the level here. Alrighty, pry this up, the screwdriver there, And then screwdriver at the bottom of the pad. Off it comes. Yeah, these are shocking pads, guys. I just acquired this car not too long ago. I maybe put 300 Ks on it so far, and been doing maintenance. So right now we were just basically changing new shocks, and then I looked at the brake pads and they looked a bit shot, and there they are. They weren't seating properly, so they've just all gone Mickey Mouse here.
Uneven wear.
Uneven wear, pretty bad. And sensor's already just broken off the pad. So the new ones come with the sensor. But right now, what we're gonna do is clean off all the bits as much as we can. Take off all the crud that's built up here. A massive buildup of rust and debris under there, so we're gonna just wire brush it. Thanks, Rob. We're gonna wire brush it here, clean it up as much as we can. Yeah, I bought this car dirt cheap off a farm basically, and now just trying to do all the regular maintenance on it and bring it up to speed. And it's been fun. Super easy to work on these MLs, but this one wasn't looked after at all, so now we got all sorts of things to take care of, which is not a bad thing, because at least I know what I'm putting into it. But the sad part is when the regular maintenance isn't done, then these sort of issues occur where pads are not seating properly and you're driving and you're destroying stuff. This is the caliper, guys. It's just like single pot, massive drum. It just sits on like this, and the pads just go in between. The pads lock on here onto the guides. And the brake sensor attaches through here. I have to grab a plier. Oh yeah, there you go. Comes out like that.
It's an O-ring.
Yeah.
O-ring can snug.
Yeah. So that came out. That was a toast. It was just rubbing onto the rotor. That explains the intermittent light that was coming on. Be careful while sanding, guys. Rubber's right there, so you have to just, I'm kind of putting my finger right next to it, so making sure that it doesn't go onto the rubber or anywhere near it. Just the surface rust gets taken off. Okay, before we put the piston back in, make sure you clean all the rubber boot off properly so the dirt doesn't go back in. Dirt and rust, all of that. Yeah. Now we're going to try and put the piston back. So we're just going to do it with a flat plate and a Weiss C-clamp, because you can buy the fancy brake tools and everything, but a C-clamp and a metal plate works just as good. So what we're doing is just putting the metal plate in the front and then just back it off nice and slow while we monitor the brake fluid reservoir up top, just to see it's not going to overflow.
Yeah. That's okay.
That's operating level. Okay. We're going to back it off slowly, just like that. So I was wrong. The piston's not seized, and I'm glad about being wrong on this one. Rob's also monitoring the brake fluid reservoir up top to make sure that the fluid's not going to cause any issues up top, or we might have to take it out with a jerky baster or a syringe if we need to. We have to back off both the calipers fully while installing new pads, so that's something you want to keep in mind. Okay, it's fully backed off. Looking good. Now we got to put grease on it.
On the back, on the face.
Yeah. piston, get some grease here, because a lot of times this may cause squeaks and noises while running dry onto the backing plate or the shims. So this actually helps. We're gonna put the guides back on too, and before we put them on, we're gonna put the grease on it. So the rotor can slide properly, but we will show you that in a minute, what we're talking about. There we go. Guide goes back on it. And now I've got to clean up my messy rotor. Tap the guides on. Prong pad on first. Under the 3 prongs that goes into the caliper. And this can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. Alright, so you put this on and there's your brake sensor.
Put it on after. We'll put the other past it.
Yeah, now we got to put the...
Oh, it's over there.
Now we're going to put this pad on.
Snaps in.
This one snaps in. Boom. So now that the rotor's seated, we're going to run the slider bolts. We put grease onto the slider bolts as well, just so they keep going in properly and make the rotor do its thing. And we've plugged in the sensor back into the plug here. It's just a straight up O-ring push and pull connector. You just plug it in, check it, it's working good. And now you're going to check the bolts. The slider bolts.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Yep.
Yeah, you loosen it off before you put the other one. Now you gotta.
Yeah,
You need a little bit of play for the other.
Absolutely. Okay. So this one was a bit of a jiggle fest.
Do the bottom one.
Now we gotta try and jiggle out the bottom one.
Should be pretty much lined up now.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. There we go. That's
pretty
why.
tight by itself, yeah. Okay, and do the top one.
Okay, do these bolts here. The slider bolts.
And I torque the shock.
Okay guys, that's all there is to it. And actually,
Now we gotta check
there's another thing that we gotta check.
Yeah.
Is just to see if it's free and it's sliding.
That the pads are sliding on the guides.
Yeah.
That's
So the caliper is moving the way it's supposed to and the pads are sliding.
And you can turn the rotor now.
Yeah, let's try turning the rotor. Rotor turns. Nothing's stuck.
Yeah.
Alright guys, that's how you do it. Once you're done, just make sure that the bolts at the back are done. I don't know what the torques are for that. I just hand tighten them. But
Yeah, tight.
if you want, just drop a comment down below and I'll find it for you. And make sure this is plugged in. And this is sitting at the bottom and the pads are sitting where they're supposed to be. Mine were just sitting a bit up before, about 5 mils. And now the rotor's floating the way it's supposed to. And everything's done. We'll put the wheels back on and the car's good to go. Thank you for watching, and if you like it, please subscribe. Have a great day.